Sakura Koji finds herself on a quiet bus ride, the sole passenger lost in thought, contemplating what she should give the little guy to eat. The hum of the engine and the rhythm of the road provide the perfect backdrop for her musings. The world outside the window is passing by in a blur as she continues to ponder her task. As she gazes out the bus window, something catches her eye, a peculiar sight that abruptly snaps her out of her reverie. Just beside the road, she sees a group of people engaged in a fiery spectacle. Alarmed and concerned, she turns to the bus driver and urgently requests that the bus be stopped. Her sense of responsibility and empathy compel her to investigate and potentially offer help. Once she disembarks from the bus, she scans the area, her eyes filled with worry and determination. Spotting the nearest police officer, she rushes over and implores him to follow her to the location where she witnessed people burning. They both hurry to the site, but when they arrive, there's a baffling absence of any sign of the previous flames. No remnants, no debris, and most perplexingly, no injured or charred individuals. The driver, now puzzled, suggests that perhaps Sakura Koji had been caught in a vivid dream or hallucination. He can't reconcile her description of a fiery scene with the serene reality before them. However, Sakura Koji is resolute, refusing to accept that she had been hallucinating. She is steadfast in her belief that she had indeed witnessed something unusual and unsettling, and her conviction remains unshaken, even in the face of skepticism. Sakura Koji is a remarkable student who not only excels in her studies, but also boasts impressive fighting skills from her Aikido classes, a talent that has earned her admiration from all her classmates. She maintains a neat and decent appearance that further garners the respect of her peers. Her close friend Aoba affectionately calls her Sakura, but when she notices a hint of melancholy in Sakura's demeanor, she can't help but inquire about what might be troubling her. Aoba gently inquires about what might be bothering Sakura, who initially brushes off her concern with a simple nothing. The concern in Aoba's eyes doesn't go unnoticed, but Sakura remains reticent. Their interaction takes an unexpected turn as they arrive at their classroom, where they encounter a new student alongside one of their teachers. At the sight of the new student named Ogami Rei, a wave of recognition washes over Sakura. His face triggers a vivid memory from the strange scene she witnessed the previous night, the inexplicable fire. Ogami Rei is introduced to the class, and he explains that he has recently moved into the community due to his parents' circumstances. Sakura can't shake off the unease she feels at the sight of him. Lunchtime provides Sakura with an opportunity to address her suspicions, and she approaches Ogami in private. Her directness takes him by surprise as she questions his whereabouts the previous night. Ogami calmly responds that he was at work during that time. Before Sakura can elaborate on her doubts, Ogami takes off his gloves, revealing the hands that Sakura believes were responsible for the inexplicable fire the night before. In response to Sakura's allegations, Ogami provides an explanation for his choice of wearing gloves. He attributes it to a childhood injury that left his hands scarred and sensitive. Additionally, he mentions the ring on his thumb, explaining that it is a simple good luck charm. Sakura is taken aback by his response, but remains determined to uncover the truth about this enigmatic newcomer, harboring an unwavering suspicion that there's more to Ogami Rei than meets the eye. Sakura's constant attention to Ogami didn't go unnoticed by their fellow students, who mistakenly assumed that she might be in love with him. Her frequent presence by his side fueled these speculations. However, Sakura's true motivations were rooted in her determination to uncover the truth about Ogami and his possible involvement in the previous night's strange events. On her way home, Sakura carried food for a homeless man's dog even though the man had recently passed away. Despite her consistent efforts to feed the dog, it had never warmed up to her. To Sakura's surprise, the dog displayed a newfound fondness for Ogami, a detail that only heightened her suspicions. Sakura decided to share her concerns with Ogami, revealing information about the mysterious G-Falcon group, which she believed was responsible for the attack and the inexplicable fire from the previous night. She explained how even the police had chosen to turn a blind eye to the group's activities. In response, Ogami encouraged her to seek justice through legal means within the country's laws. Elsewhere, in the Prime Minister's office, the Prime Minister himself was inquiring about Ogami. His secretary confirmed that Ogami was now prepared for something, indicating a mysterious plan that was in motion. The following day, Aoba invited Ogami to join them for karaoke, but his commitment to work kept him from accepting. As he explained this to his friends, a call came in. Ogami showed them his phone and excused himself from their company. When he was alone, the caller issued instructions for a job and inquired about his plans regarding Sakura. Ogami's chilling response was that he intended to eliminate her. Meanwhile, Sakura found herself in a perilous situation. While feeding the homeless man's dog, she witnessed the G-Falcon group brutally beating a man. When the group questioned her about witnessing their actions and the mysterious disappearances, they seized her and the dog, subjecting them to a vicious assault. In her darkest moment, Ogami came to her rescue, decisively defeating the G-Falcon gang members and providing a glimmer of hope in her time of need. Ogami closed in on Sakura, laying a hand on her as he ominously declared that she too must meet her end. After waking up, Sakura found herself safe and sound at home, with her mother Yuki and her father relieved to see her awake. Her father expressed his deep concern for her extended absence, as she had been unconscious when Daisuke discovered her at the gate. Her unexpected ordeal had left her family worrying about her well-being. Determined to uncover the truth, Sakura returned to the field where she had witnessed Ogami's confrontation with the G-Falcon gang members. To her surprise, there were no traces of ashes or evidence of the fiery confrontation she vividly remembered. It was as if the incident had been wiped clean. Back at school, Sakura was apprehensive as she entered her classroom and found Ogami already present. Her fears resurfaced as the person she believed might have tried to harm her the previous day was now sitting in her class. This realization put her on edge. Throughout the school day, Sakura was preoccupied with watching her back, her mind racing with concerns about her safety. She was haunted by the idea that the person who had attempted to eliminate her the day before might still pose a threat, especially if they believed she knew their secret. After evading Ogami multiple times, Sakura mustered the courage to confront him about the disturbing events of the previous day. Her determination to uncover the truth and ensure her safety compelled her to seek answers from the enigmatic figure who had suddenly become such a prominent and perplexing presence in her life. In the bustling aisles of a supermarket, a young boy captures the attention of everyone around as he collects a multitude of toys. He animatedly claims that these toys are Wenyan Maru from a mysterious machine, leaving onlookers intrigued and bewildered by his antics. As the boy exits the supermarket, he receives a mission directive. The message instructs him, codenamed Codebreaker 03, to eliminate a target named Tepuan Yuki. Unbeknownst to the boy, his actions are about to set in motion a series of events that will challenge his perspective. Sakura, determined to uncover the truth about the violent incident from the day before, manages to confront Ogami in a crowded area. She questions him about the individuals he killed, expressing her concerns and asking if he feels any remorse for his actions. Ogami's response is chillingly matter-of-fact. He explains that he killed them because he deems them as trash, who serve no purpose among the people. Sakura pleads with him to consider the moral implications of his actions, insisting that he isn't meant to mete out justice to others. She emphasizes that it's the law's role to do so. Ogami counters Sakura's arguments with a sense of detachment and an air of superiority. He firmly asserts that he exists beyond the reach of the law, positioning himself as an entity that transcends its jurisdiction. According to Ogami, the law is incapable of passing judgment on him, as he exists outside its confines. He goes on to emphasize that it's his personal duty to mete out his unique form of justice, one that the law cannot provide. In doing so, Ogami identifies himself as a code breaker, a figure who resides in a realm where the conventional rules and boundaries of society no longer apply. His self-proclaimed non-existence within the framework of the law further underscores the enigmatic nature of his character, leaving Sakura grappling with the perplexing and unsettling reality of his presence in her life. Sakura, undeterred and resolute, warns Ogami that if he continues to kill people, she will persistently follow him to prevent any further harm. But Ogami responds with chilling laughter, then approaches a nearby glass building. With a mere touch, he shatters the glass into countless shards. In a final menacing declaration, he warns Sakura that if she ever reveals his existence to others, he will kill her first and anyone she tells, anywhere, at any time. He makes it clear that she is powerless to stop him. The encounter leaves Sakura in a state of shock and fear, grappling with the enigmatic figure who seems to operate outside the boundaries of morality and the law. Sakura, deeply affected by her encounter with Ogami, returns home and finds herself lying in her bed, unable to shake off the disturbing thoughts about what Ogami had said. His chilling words and his seemingly unstoppable powers weigh heavily on her mind as she contemplates the enigmatic figure who operates outside the boundaries of morality and the law. Meanwhile, Ogami is walking on a bridge when he receives a call inquiring about whether he has eliminated Sakura. Ogami's response is surprising. He describes Sakura as a rare breed and states that she won't burn, not even by his own fire. As a result, he has decided not to kill her again, leaving the situation shrouded in mystery and uncertainty. Toki attempts to confront Ogami in a fight, but their altercation is quickly halted by the intervention of Ogami's brother. Despite the tension and underlying conflicts, Ogami's presence and actions continue to cast a mysterious and unpredictable influence over those around him. One early morning, as Sakura prepares to leave for school, she is taken by surprise when she sees Ogami waiting patiently at the door of her house. His unexpected presence raises questions about his intentions and deepens the enigmatic nature of their interactions. Unfazed by the puzzling circumstances, Ogami is ready to accompany her to school. Arriving at school, Sakura is greeted by the familiar sight of her locker overflowing with love letters from her classmates. a daily occurrence. However, today, there is a new twist to her routine. Sakura decides to confide in Aoba, her close friend, about the recent development in her life. She shares with Aoba that she has chosen to accompany Ogami to school every day. This revelation adds an interesting dynamic to Sakura's daily routine and sparks curiosity among her friends and classmates. Aoba is genuinely happy for her friend, believing that Sakura may have finally found love. Aoba offers her best wishes and encourages Sakura to cherish the newfound closeness she shares with Ogami, urging Ogami to take care of Sakura and be there for her. The dynamic between Sakura and Ogami is shrouded in mystery and intrigue, leaving their peers to speculate and wonder about the nature of their connection. Sakura's unwavering loyalty and determination to protect Ogami are demonstrated once again when a student attempts to attack Ogami from behind. She positions herself in front of Ogami, making it clear that anyone attempting to harm him will have to go through her first. When the teacher informs Ogami about his cleaning duty at the student council and he admits not knowing its location, Sakura offers to guide him there, showcasing her willingness to assist and support him in any way she can. As they proceed, they encounter one of Ogami's junior students, Fujiwara, who appears elated to see Sakura. However, Ogami is keenly observant and recognizes something in the child's eyes. In response, he instinctively places his hand on her head, suggesting a deeper connection or shared history that is not yet revealed. Later, Ogami waits on the school rooftop and receives a call instructing him to eliminate certain individuals. After ending the call, he notices Sakura approaching. In a surprising and somewhat tender gesture, Ogami offers her a puppy, extending a symbol of his connection with her. The dynamics between Sakura and Ogami continue to grow complex, leaving questions about their relationship unanswered. Ogami and Sakura Koji press on toward the location where Ogami has been given the mission to eliminate specific individuals. Their anticipation is high as they approach the scene, ready to confront the designated targets. However, as they draw nearer, a sense of unease washes over Sakura. She begins to notice the presence of police officers at the scene, mingling with the individuals who were supposed to be their adversaries. Sakura's shock and dismay deepen as she witnesses this unexpected collaboration between the police and the very criminals they were tasked with eliminating. Without hesitation, Ogami takes swift and decisive action, burning all of the criminals without leaving a single one alive. Witnessing this ruthless act, Sakura confronts Ogami, expressing her disbelief and disagreement with his methods. She firmly states that he cannot simply kill people as he pleases, and that there must be another, more humane way to handle the situation. In response, Ogami stands by his actions, explaining to Sakura that her words cannot reach or change these individuals, and that sometimes there is no alternative but to teach them a harsh lesson through his unique methods. The moral and ethical differences between Sakura and Ogami are stark, adding depth to their complex relationship and the overarching themes of justice and morality in the story. Sakura attempts to empathize with Ogami, hugging him and expressing her understanding of his motivations for fighting. However, Ogami, steadfast in his conviction, rejects her attempt to connect with him and delivers a powerful blow to her stomach, causing her to faint. As Ogami pursues the corrupt police officer who had been aiding the individuals he previously eliminated, they engage in a vehicular chase. Ogami attempts to use his powers to burn the officer's car, but their confrontation takes a surprising turn. A helicopter suddenly appears in their path, and Toki emerges from it. With his own pyrokinetic abilities, Toki sets the corrupt officer's car ablaze, while Ogami narrowly escapes the fiery attack by leaping from the vehicle. The unexpected intervention by Toki adds another layer of intrigue and complexity to the story, leaving readers with more questions about the relationships between the characters and the mysteries of their abilities. In the supreme decision-making body, commonly known as Eden, where individuals endowed with superhuman powers exceeding those of ordinary beings are granted the authority to utilize their unique abilities for the eradication of evil forces that threaten Earth, we find Ogami, a distinguished codebreaker bearing the designation Code 06. Despite being the most recent addition to this esteemed assembly of codebreakers, Ogami has distinguished himself by diligently fulfilling each assigned task, demonstrating not only his competence, but also his remarkable growth, firmly establishing his position as an equal among the elite group of 5. In this moment of anticipation and intrigue, one of the venerable judges steps forward to unveil the purpose of Ogami's summoning. It becomes apparent that they have a special mission in mind for him, one that demands the full extent of his extraordinary talents. The target of this covert mission is none other than the prominent politician Tabata Shigeru, whose image promptly materializes on Ogami's phone, underscoring the gravity of the assignment. However, what captures Ogami's attention is the enigmatic connection between this politician and a notorious figure known as Hitomi, a renowned gangster. With a sense of gravity, the judges respond, emphasizing that Ogami's mission extends far beyond the elimination of a political adversary. It encompasses the complex network of relationships and alliances that exist in the covert world, and unraveling any potential link between Tabata Shigeru and Hitomi stands as an integral facet of this intricate assignment. Thus, Ogami finds himself not only entrusted with the task of neutralizing a political threat, but also delving into the murky realm of hidden connections and intricate relationships, where the lines between good and evil blur and the destiny of nations hangs in the balance. In a sudden, defiant act, Ogami chooses to take matters into his own hands. He soars towards the assembled judges, his formidable powers manifesting in a blaze of fire that engulfs them. His actions are a powerful statement that he refuses to be treated like a mere pawn, asserting his right to decide whether he will accept the assignment or not. The incendiary display leaves an indelible mark, underscoring his unwavering independence. Meanwhile, Sakura finds herself in a complex web of her own. She is often seen loitering near the front gate, prompting questions from her concerned parents. Faced with their inquiries, she initially provides an excuse, claiming that her newfound involvement in the mountaineering club necessitates her sleeping outside as part of her training. However, she quickly realizes that her parents are no strangers to her tendency to fib, especially when it involves someone else. As she prepares to leave the house, Sakura is taken aback by the sight of a young man with lustrous golden hair. He is positioned precisely where Ogami typically waits for her. He greets her with a cheerful, "Good morning, Sakura," prompting her to return the greeting. Confusion lingers as she inquires about his identity, eager to unravel the mystery of this unexpected encounter. He then explains that he has come to pick her up in place of Ogami. On their way, he shares some unsettling news with Sakura. He mentions that Ogami had made some significant mistakes the previous day, which is why he was unable to make it. Toki, identifying himself as Code 04, adds that Ogami, being Code 06, should be closely watched. Sakura's curiosity about Ogami's whereabouts gets the better of her, and she asks Toki where he might be at the moment. Toki responds, revealing that Ogami likely got a severe dressing down from higher-ups and must be on the verge of tears by now. As soon as Sakura hears those words, the verge of tears, her eyes well up, and she starts to cry for Ogami. Toki, ever the good friend to Ogami, reassures Sakura, telling her that he'll provide her with all the information she needs about Ogami. Sakura responds, making her own wishes clear. All she truly desires from Ogami is that he puts an end to his job of eliminating people. Toki, while still with Sakura, expresses his desire to share something that involves both Ogami and her. However, before he can do so, Ogami suddenly materializes and throws a leg as a punch aimed at Toki. Swift and nimble, Toki manages to evade the attack with ease, demonstrating his agility. Ogami stands before Sakura, urging her not to lend an ear to what he perceives as Toki's meaningless words. He confronts Toki, inquiring about the purpose of his unexpected presence. Toki responds by revealing that the higher authorities had expressed concerns about the task they had assigned Ogami, the job slated for tonight. As a result, Toki had been dispatched to assist him. Toki's main reason for being there, however, was to convey a clear message to Ogami. He should not participate in today's mission. Ogami retorts, advising Toki to focus more on his own well-being than on him. Tensions flare and Toki's anger bubbles to the surface. The two superhumans engage in an intense physical confrontation. Sakura, ever the peacemaker, steps in between them, effectively halting their battle. As she stands between the two adversaries, she closely examines Toki's eyes and notices a striking resemblance to Fujiwara's, a detail that piques her curiosity and raises questions about their connection. After Toki departs, Sakura and Ogami resume their journey to school. Sakura's curiosity gets the better of her and she begins questioning Ogami about Toki. Ogami responds with skepticism, warning Sakura that Toki is untrustworthy and that she should not take his words at face value. In the classroom, with their teacher at the front delivering a lesson, Sakura's attention drifts towards the window, where she spots Toki. She promptly informs the teacher that she's feeling unwell and requests to visit the nursing station. However, rather than heading to the nurse's office, she confronts Toki to inquire about his presence in her school. Toki explains that he's merely there to check out the school, but before they can delve deeper into the conversation, Ogami intervenes, accusing Toki of being there to rummage around. Their discussion is interrupted when one of the school teachers, noticing Toki in a different school uniform, inquires about his presence. Toki offers the explanation that he's a new student touring the school, and the teacher takes him into the classroom to introduce him to the entire class, where Sakura and Ogami also belong. At lunchtime, Sakura takes the opportunity to question Toki further about how she can prevent Ogami from carrying out his deadly assignments. Toki reveals that codebreakers have specific objectives, and they either answer for or eliminate threats as mandated by their superiors to protect something or someone important. Later, after school, Sakura discreetly follows Ogami to ask about the connection between Fujiwara and Toki. Ogami's response is cryptic, stating that codebreakers essentially do not exist, and if Toki had a family before, their memories of the codebreaker would be erased. As night falls, they reach their designated location to carry out an operation. Toki utilizes his magnetic abilities to open a door and disable the alarm system. Sakura is astonished by Toki's unique power. However, their mission takes an unexpected turn as a group of individuals individuals with special abilities, distinct from codebreakers, confront Toki and Ogami in a battle. Amid the heated battle, their energy packs, crucial to fuel their unique abilities, deplete within a matter of minutes. Faced with this dire situation, they make a hasty retreat, blaming the failure on a faulty experiment. According to Toki, the government has been conducting a series of experiments with the goal of creating individuals with superhuman abilities akin to the codebreakers. The man responsible for overseeing these experiments, Mr. Tabata, a high-ranking government official, happened to be their adversary on this day. Even though Mr. Tabata's assistant informed him that the codebreakers were inside the building, he remained resolute, determined not to let them disrupt his ongoing experiment. As the three of them approach their destination, the experiment room within the building, Toki discloses a surprising revelation to Sakura. He tells her that their work is also tied to the government, more specifically to the Prime Minister. Sakura is taken aback by this revelation, as the notion of the Prime Minister's involvement in their affairs leaves her astounded. Upon finally unlocking the door to the experiment room, Sakura finds herself stunned by a disheartening sight. The room is filled with numerous children who appear to have been plucked from the streets, their lives upended as they become subjects for these sinister experiments. As they step further into the room, the mastermind behind these operations, Tabata, makes his entrance. Toki immediately addresses him, reminding Tabata of Eden's previous warnings against trafficking in human organs. However, Tabata, undeterred, dismisses their concerns, claiming it's none of their business. Adding to the tension, the two individuals who had previously confronted the codebreakers at the entrance of the building now join the scene. They assert that their actions are driven by a desire to assist people, contending that children with limited special powers are essentially useless, and using their organs for other purposes is the most practical utilization of their potential. This provocative statement sparks a renewed clash between the parties. To reinforce their stance, Tabata's guards have recharged their energy packs. One of them possesses the extraordinary power to manipulate water, while the other can transform objects into solid stone. As the battle reignites, the room becomes a chaotic arena, with powers and abilities colliding in a frenzied spectacle of superhuman combat. Amid the relentless battle, Toki eventually decides to disengage from his opponent in an attempt to evade the conflict. However, his path crosses with the adversaries once again at the front, and he adamantly declares that they won't escape his grasp. Sakura, ever resourceful, discreetly conveys to Toki a crucial piece of information. The source of the enemy's power lies within the bag that one of the men is carrying. She suggests that if they can either take or destroy this bag, they might gain the upper hand in the battle. Following Sakura's guidance, Toki seizes the bag and, to their astonishment, discovers that it contains young children who serve as the power source for the two adversaries. In an unsettling twist, they find themselves confronted with a moral dilemma and an urgent decision. Heeding the wishes of the children, they make the difficult choice to eliminate the two adversaries. With the two guards dealt with, only Mr. Tabata remains. As he desperately attempts to flee, Toki apprehends him and insists that Ogami should carry out the final act. Ogami, prepared to unleash his fiery powers, is about to reduce Mr. Tabata to ashes. However, just as the decisive moment arrives, Mr. Tabata's daughter, confined to a wheelchair, unexpectedly appears on the scene. She addresses her father, who is held against the wall with a firm grip, inquiring about the identities of these three individuals, Sakura, Toki, and Ogami, who have intruded upon their world. In a moment of desperation, Mr. Tabata offers an explanation for his actions, revealing that everything he did was an attempt to find the right organ for his daughter. He explains that the hospital could not provide the necessary transplant within the time frame his daughter required, and his actions were driven by an urgency to save her life. As Sakura pleads with Ogami to spare Mr. Tabata, the man begins to comprehend the gravity of his deeds, expressing remorse for his actions. He implores Sakura to take care of his daughter as he willingly submits to the fiery fate that awaits him, allowing Ogami to consume him in flames. Meanwhile, Mr. Tsuno, Tabata's secretary, believes he has narrowly escaped death, making his way a few blocks away from the building. However, Toki swiftly catches up to him, intent on extracting information about who was funding Mr. Tabata's sinister project. Faced with the prospect of revealing this critical information, Mr. Tsuno takes a drastic and tragic step. He raises a gun to his own head and pulls the trigger, ending his own life before he can divulge any secrets. The news broadcast on TV has just reported Mr. Tabata's demise, stating that the cause of death remains a mystery. Rumors and speculations are circulating, with some attributing it to an unfortunate incident involving smoking in bed. In an entirely different setting, Toki finds himself in the office of the Prime Minister. His demeanor is one of contentment as he sees Toki entering. They exchange greetings and express gratitude for the job that was carried out the previous day, acknowledging its successful execution. Toki, however, broaches a more pressing topic, hinting at a possible connection between the Prime Minister and the research facilities. The Prime Minister, in response, implies that Toki may still be grappling with emotions related to Nanene and the predicament she was placed in. Toki then reminds the Prime Minister of a promise he made to become the Prime Minister's loyal ally if he left Nanene behind, reflecting his unwavering commitment to their cause. Meanwhile, Ogami and Sakura walk down the street, with Sakura engrossed in reading the newspaper article about Mr. Tabata's mysterious death. Suddenly, a stranger parks their vehicle beside them and requests some privacy, signaling an imminent and potentially significant conversation that may impact their lives. Once the woman, who was dressed as a man, excused herself, she conveyed to Ogami the concerns of the Eden regarding his decision to take Sakura Koji to Mr. Tabata's house during the operation that led to his demise. This, according to the woman, not only exposed Sakura to significant risks, but also raised questions about her importance and potential in the eyes of the Eden. She further revealed that the new order from the Eden was to ensure Sakura's protection at all costs, as she was considered a rare breed and might hold a vital role in their future plans. Before departing, the woman advised Ogami to lighten his workload to prevent getting lost in the complex dynamics of their world. Later, in the school premises on their way to their classroom, Sakura suggested to Ogami that he should try making more friends to enjoy school life. However, Ogami's response was markedly different. He expressed his unwillingness to engage in activities or establish relationships that did not directly contribute to his objectives. He emphasized that the codebreakers were not his friends, but rather colleagues with shared interests, highlighting the seriousness with which he approached his role and mission. Ogami's arrival in his new school is marked by a welcome party organized by the class authorities, with Aoba serving as the class president. During the event, the students express their enthusiasm and present a series of ideas for activities they'd like to do with Ogami throughout the year, extending the hand of friendship. However, later in the evening, as Ogami is with Sakura, he reviews the messages written on paper by some of his classmates who wish to befriend him. To Sakura's surprise, he burns the messages, explaining that he doesn't like leaving physical traces and prefers to memorize the content. He also conveys that he is not ready for friendship at the moment, underscoring his unwavering focus on his mission. In a separate incident, Toki is on his way home when he suddenly experiences a severe heart problem, which jeopardizes his survival. Furthermore, Hitomi and Yukikina, both former codebreakers with designations Code 0 and Code 01, respectively, have gone rogue. They have defied their previous allegiances and are amassing their own army, recruiting missing agents of the Prime Minister. This development hints at an emerging and complex conflict within the world of codebreakers, one that may have significant implications for the future. Under the cloak of night, Sakura and Ogami find themselves on the school rooftop, engrossed in a tense standoff. Hitomi's agents launch an attack on the school, and they approach the school gate, where Ogami and Sakura are stationed. These agents, under Hitomi's command, are actually reanimated corpses of individuals he has killed. While Ogami engages in combat with some of these undead agents, Sakura voices her concerns, expressing her disapproval of how he treats them. Ogami retorts that they are already deceased, and that the only person capable of such necromancy is Hitomi himself. The situation grows increasingly dire as Ogami begins to weaken while battling the relentless onslaught of Hitomi's undead army. In the nick of time, Miss Kanda intervenes, using her firearms to eliminate some of the reanimated agents and provide a momentary respite. This allows Ogami to give chase to a group of these agents who have infiltrated the school, heading toward their classroom. After an extended struggle, Yuki and Heiki, fellow codebreakers, arrive to reinforce Ogami in the ongoing conflict. The battle intensifies as they work together to confront the looming threat posed by Hitomi and his undead army, setting the stage for a showdown with potentially far-reaching consequences. After successfully defeating the onslaught of Hitomi's reanimated agents, they carefully move Ogami, who is lying helpless on the ground, to one of the classrooms. Miss Kanda, a teacher at the school, and also a codebreaker, is with them. She takes a moment to explain to Sakura that Master Ogami has been using his special abilities excessively lately, which has led to his weakened state. She reassures Sakura that this is a common occurrence for people with special abilities, and assures her that Ogami will fully recover within a day, which brings relief to Sakura. Intrigued by the situation, Sakura addresses the three of them, Heike, Yuki, and Miss Kanda. She expresses her surprise at discovering that Miss Kanda is a codebreaker too. Miss Kanda clarifies that she is not a codebreaker but rather an agent for the Eden, an organization that provides support to codebreakers. Heike adds further context, explaining that Ogami holds the lowest rank among codebreakers, designated as code number 06, which is why he was assigned a support staff member. This revelation sheds light on the hierarchy and support structure within the world of codebreakers, illuminating the roles and responsibilities of those involved. Sakura couldn't help but chuckle upon hearing that Ogami held the lowest rank among codebreakers. She remarked, "You mean this wild and unpredictable Ogami is the lowest rank?" Her amusement at the notion was evident. Heike proceeds with the introductions, providing more insights into the Codebreaker's ranks and abilities. He mentions that Yuki is designated as Code 03, possessing the extraordinary power to control sound, which can be both a versatile and potent ability. Toki is recognized as Code 04, suggesting that he wields unique skills and talents of his own, which will undoubtedly come into play in the unfolding events. Heike proudly asserts that he holds the designation of Codebreaker 02. In addition to his unique abilities, he also serves as a judge for other codebreakers, implying that he holds a significant role in the organization's operations. Curiosity piqued, Sakura inquired about the whereabouts of Code 05 and Code 01, wondering if they are still alive. Heike responds that she must have already met Code 05, which Sakura confirms, recalling the mysterious woman on the bike. She is about to inquire about the identity of Code 01 when Miss Kanda intervenes, suggesting that they relocate to ensure Master Ogami's safety. The conversation about the missing codebreakers is momentarily put on hold, as they prioritize Ogami's well-being and security. Sakura, concerned for Ogami's well-being, proposes the idea of bringing him to her home for safety. However, Miss Kanda, though sympathetic to their situation, expresses her reservations about the potential risks associated with such a move. She is undoubtedly aware of the complexities of the world they live in, where danger can unexpectedly emerge from various quarters. In response to Miss Kanda's concerns, Sakura demonstrates her determination. She firmly reminds Miss Kanda that she is well acquainted with the unique character of her home. This acknowledgement conveys that Sakura is no stranger to the world they all inhabit, where the line between normalcy and the extraordinary is often blurred. Sakura's assertion provides the reassurance needed to proceed with their plan. They collectively decide to take Ogami to Sakura's residence, where he can receive the care and protection essential for his recovery. In Sakura's home, Miss Kanda discloses an intriguing piece of information to the others. She reveals that she is the daughter of the head of the Kizakura Gumi Group, a prominent and powerful Yakuza organization in Japan. As her parents inquire about Ogami and the other individuals with them, she explains that Ogami fought to protect her and the other students at school on that day. This revelation adds a layer of complexity to Miss Kanda's character and highlights the diverse backgrounds and affiliations of those entangled in the world of codebreakers. With Sakura's parents offering to accommodate Ogami and his friends in the guest room, Toki has already settled in. Later in the evening, Heike and the somewhat forlorn Toki have a conversation. Heike shares valuable information, explaining that the group that attacked them earlier had split into two factions. One faction focused their attack on Ogami, while the other targeted Miss Kanda. Heike speculates that this division might have been orchestrated by Hitomi, suggesting that Hitomi's ultimate goal might be to bring about Ogami's defeat. Code 05, dispatched by the Eden, arrives at Sakura's house to assist them in facing Hitomi's imminent attack. As night falls, Hitomi launches his assault. When questioned about his motives, Hitomi makes it clear that his battle is not against the Codebreakers but against the Eden, marking a significant revelation about his true objectives. Unbeknownst to the Codebreakers, while Hitomi engages them in combat, he has clandestinely dispatched Code 01 to kidnap the Prime Minister. This development adds a layer of complexity to the situation, as the fate of the Prime Minister now hangs in the balance and Hitomi's intentions become increasingly enigmatic. As Hitomi's actions become clear, a sense of self-blame and frustration envelops the group. They blame themselves for falling into Hitomi's carefully laid trap, leading to the abduction of the Prime Minister. Heike confesses that Hitomi executed his plan with precision, leaving them deceived and vulnerable. Toki, on the other hand, proposes a more radical stance, suggesting that they should not attempt to rescue the Prime Minister. This viewpoint alarms Code 05, who passionately objects to Toki's suggestion, emphasizing that the Prime Minister is also his father. Toki, however, remains resolute in his decision and chooses not to be part of any plan to rescue the Prime Minister, his departure reflecting his dissent with their approach. The group's dynamics are shifting, and a sense of desperation looms as they grapple with the dire consequences of their actions and the significant loss they've suffered. Meanwhile, Yuki's extensive use of his power has led to an unforeseen transformation. He has been transformed into a cat, a consequence of pushing his abilities to their limits. In the aftermath of the intense battle that left several members of the Kizakura Gumi group injured, Sakura's father expresses his gratitude to the group for their valiant efforts in defending the clan against Hitomi's onslaught. Their actions were instrumental in safeguarding the clan from Hitomi's destructive intentions. Heike takes the opportunity to provide some context about Hitomi and his significant role within the Codebreakers. He explains that Hitomi was once a member of the Codebreakers, and his superior was none other than the Prime Minister himself. However, 3 years ago, Hitomi mysteriously disappeared, giving rise to numerous speculations and rumors. Some believed he had perished, while others speculated that he had embarked on a journey. To the shock of many, Hitomi re-emerged recently, wreaking havoc and chaos wherever he went. Heike continues, elaborating that during his time with the Codebreakers, Hitomi held the esteemed rank of the strongest among them. Yet the reason behind his kidnapping of the Prime Minister lies in a desire for revenge, a motive deeply ingrained in his actions. Code 05 adds that Hitomi's objectives extend beyond the mere assassination of the Prime Minister, implying that he likely has a hidden agenda. The revelation of Hitomi's transformation from a former leader to a formidable adversary leaves the group perplexed and frustrated. They grapple with the question of what could have transpired to drive Hitomi to turn against them and launch his vendetta against the Prime Minister. Sakura's parents engage in a heartfelt discussion about Sakura's future and the uncertainties that lie ahead. Unbeknownst to them, Ogami is eavesdropping on their conversation, keen to understand their concerns and hopes for Sakura. After they conclude their discussion and leave the room, Ogami seizes the opportunity to examine an old photo album of Sakura. While flipping through the album, Ogami stumbles upon pictures of Sakura as a baby. The realization strikes him: Sakura is adopted. Seeking confirmation, he approaches Sakura and gently inquires about her adoption, to which she openly acknowledges it. This revelation deepens Ogami's understanding of Sakura's past and the uniqueness of her experiences. Sakura's father later calls Ogami aside to share the story of how they found Sakura, a newborn with blood covering her body, abandoned at their doorstep. This mysterious and unsettling discovery has shaped Sakura's life, leading to her strong aversion to death and her fierce protectiveness of the living. Sakura's father conveys his deep concern and care for Sakura's well-being. He acknowledges that they anticipated a day when this truth would come to light, and as parents, they are committed to supporting her. He requests Ogami's assistance in safeguarding Sakura, emphasizing the depth of their love and commitment to her safety. Sakura is overwhelmed with disappointment when she witnesses the suffering of the clan members under medical care. Ogami, always a pillar of strength, consoles her, advising her not to dwell on her unique status as a rare breed but to see herself as a regular person. He takes responsibility for the events that have transpired and expresses that if anyone should bear blame, it should be him. His selflessness and dedication to her well-being are evident in his words. Ogami encourages Sakura not to become disheartened by recent events, as doing so would only diminish the trust and hope that others have in her. The clan members unanimously agree with Ogami's perspective, pledging their unwavering support and commitment to defend her should Hitomi reappear. As the Codebreakers reflect on Hitomi's transformation from an ally to an adversary, they grapple with the mystery surrounding his motives. To address the situation, they decide to split up and embark on a mission to find either the Prime Minister or Hitomi, in the hopes of uncovering the truth. Meanwhile, Miss Kanda confronts the executive members in the school's language laboratory. She is baffled and angered by not being informed about Sakura's status as a rare breed. The executives explain that their decision stems from their mistrust of her due to her past association with Hitomi. However, Miss Kanda vehemently denies any allegiance to Hitomi, expressing her frustration and determination to assert her loyalty and dedication to the Codebreakers and their mission. Code 05, also known as Oji, engages in a conversation with Heike. During their discussion, Oji expresses his doubts about Heike, suspecting that he might have helped Hitomi carry out his plans. Heike, realizing that Oji is about to unveil his own intentions regarding Hitomi, becomes wary. In a sudden and unexpected move, Heike attacks Oji, catching him off guard. Unbeknownst to Heike, Yuki, who has transformed into a cat, is observing the altercation. Yuki, in his cat form, silently watches the events unfold. Following the altercation, Heike decides to approach Sakura and informs her that Ogami has requested her presence. However, Heike's motives and the true nature of this meeting with Hitomi remain unclear, leaving Sakura to grapple with a sense of unease and uncertainty about what lies ahead. Ogami is still out on the street, relentlessly searching for any leads on Hitomi when he receives a call from Miss Kanda. She informs him about an explosion that has occurred at a location and expresses her belief that Hitomi may be the one behind it. The explosion has caused injury to 24 people, and the news is filled with reports of the incident. Meanwhile, at the undisclosed location where Sakura and the Prime Minister are being held captive, Hitomi speaks to Sakura. He assures her that he has no intention of causing harm to her, and explains that he kidnapped her solely to remove her from his plans. Hitomi also reveals that Ogami transferred to her school on orders from higher-ups, and that his presence there is intended to monitor her. He frames this as an effort to protect both the Codebreakers and serve the greater good. Hitomi's complex motivations and actions continue to keep everyone on edge as they grapple with the intricate web of secrets and alliances within the Codebreakers world. Miss Kanda, in her car, reflects on Hitomi's actions and the depth of his kindness. She struggles to reconcile the benevolent nature she has seen in him with his recent actions, and believes there must be a significant reason behind his actions. While driving, she receives an anonymous tip on her phone about Hitomi's whereabouts, heightening the urgency of the situation. Heike confronts Hitomi about the explosion and questions whether it was merely part of a larger plan. Hitomi responds, emphasizing that involving Sakura does not automatically imply trust on his part. He probes Heike about how he tracked him down so quickly, suggesting that Heike might have been keeping tabs on him since the events began. Heike, in an effort to demonstrate his trustworthiness, shares that he had dealt with Oji. As they converse, Hitomi notices Miss Kanda and Ogami approaching their location. Recognizing the impending confrontation, Hitomi instructs Heike to prepare for a fight. Sakura's parents grew increasingly concerned when she failed to return home, prompting them to call Ogami. Seeking to allay their fears, he assured them that he knew Sakura's whereabouts and had a plan to retrieve her safely. However, his urgency was evident as he hurried towards the location where he believed Sakura to be. As Ogami rushed to the scene, he received distressing news from Yuki and Toki that Code 02, Heike, had also turned against them. Determined to confront this growing threat, they followed Heike to Hitomi's location. When they arrived, they encountered Heike, and the confrontation swiftly escalated into a fierce battle. Heike displayed formidable strength, effortlessly gaining the upper hand against both Toki and Ogami. In the midst of the heated battle, Toki found himself squaring off against Heike, while Ogami managed to find a path leading upstairs to where Hitomi, Miss Kanda, and Sakura were located. However, what awaited Ogami was a shocking revelation. Hitomi had successfully turned Miss Kanda against him, and she had been ordered to shoot herself with just one bullet remaining. In a tense and heart-wrenching moment, Hitomi informs Ogami that if he were to take one of Miss Kanda's bullets and die, it would save Miss Kanda from a tragic fate. Miss Kanda, under Hitomi's control, begins to fire at Ogami as he approaches her, intending to end her life before the bullet runs out. As the situation escalates, Sakura, who is tied down, is unable to bear witness to Ogami killing Miss Kanda. In a selfless act of bravery, she pushes Miss Kanda away, saving her from the fatal shot. With the confrontation at a critical juncture, everyone confronts Hitomi, expressing their confusion about his actions, which seem entirely out of character for him. Hitomi points to the stopped clocks on the wall, explaining that each time a codebreaker dies, the clocks cease to function. He elaborates on his rationale for the bombings, revealing that he aims to incite chaos and unrest, pushing people to seek someone to blame for the atrocities. In doing so, he hopes that the people will turn to the codebreakers for salvation, transforming them into the heroes they were meant to be, rather than fading away in obscurity. Hitomi further explains that his plan is intended to transform the codebreakers into champions of justice, enabling them to confront evil openly and serve as beacons of hope for the people. However, Ogami remains unconvinced, perceiving the plan as flawed and morally questionable. Their differences escalate into a fierce confrontation, as they grapple with their conflicting visions for the future. The situation takes an unexpected turn when Yuki Kina comes to support Hitomi, joining the fray. Yuki Kina then delivers a grave revelation, disclosing the presence of a bomb within the building. He informs them that he and the Prime Minister have already left the premises. In a bold and determined move, Sakura chooses to follow Hitomi and Yuki Kina, determined to prevent them from harming the Prime Minister. At the age of 10, Hitomi is appointed by the Eden Supreme Council as a Codebreaker 06. He possesses extraordinary powers, and with this newfound role, he embarks on numerous missions, saving numerous lives and eliminating various evildoers. His remarkable achievements garner the admiration of the Eden Supreme Council, leading to his promotion within their ranks. At 20, a devastating loss strikes Hitomi as he loses Haruya, a fellow codebreaker with the designation 05. This tragic event fuels his anger and desire for change, ultimately leading to his promotion to Code 05, further solidifying his power and influence. Continuing to climb the ranks, Hitomi reaches the position of Code 03 at the age of 26. During this time, he finds himself on a mission that will forever alter the course of his life. In a horrific turn of events, he witnesses the deaths of Code 01 and several other codebreakers, all happening right before his eyes. However, upon his return to the Eden Council, Hitomi is met with a harsh reality. Instead of remorse or acknowledgement for the fallen codebreakers, the council demonstrates a cold and indifferent disposition. Their sole focus is on their overarching goals and the immediate replacement of the lost codebreakers, prioritizing their objectives above all else. With Haruya and Hitomi as the only remaining codebreakers, a significant revelation occurs. Hitomi shares that Code 05 had the unique ability to manipulate water, making her a formidable ally. However, to their shock, she met a tragic end at the hands of water. Hitomi instructs Heike to investigate whether the agency possesses any information about her death, as he strongly believes that she was not killed by external enemies. In the wake of Code 01's death, Hitomi realizes that he is now effectively Code 01 and is given the title of Ace. From that point forward, Hitomi makes a solemn vow to himself. As Ace, he is determined to prevent any more codebreakers from losing their lives under his watch. He sees it as his responsibility to ensure the safety and well-being of his fellow codebreakers, determined to protect them from further harm. In his current role as Ace, Hitomi remains a steadfast leader among the codebreakers, taking on the responsibility of ensuring their safety. He acts as a guiding force within the group, consistently emphasizing the need to protect their fellow codebreakers and prevent any further tragic losses. Hitomi's presence provides a sense of security to the team, as they know he is committed to shielding them from harm and instilling a deep sense of responsibility among them. In conversations with Ogami during his time as the leader of the Codebreakers, Hitomi shared the core beliefs that motivated him to join their ranks. He explained that his innate nature drove him to protect the weak and uphold the nation's laws, which often went unenforced. Hitomi expressed to Ogami that he would persist in his fight for the vulnerable until his last breath. He was firm in his conviction that their extraordinary powers were bestowed upon them to assist and defend those who could not defend themselves. He told Ogami that even if he died, he shouldn't worry about him because he is always in his heart. Heike told Hitomi that the able person that once nearly killed all Codebreakers would come back again, so he asked him to assemble the Codebreakers so they could all kill the man. After fighting the man, Hitomi controlled and used his ability to possess the man, making him kill himself with his ability. As Hitomi gazes upon the assembled Codebreakers, he harbors a profound sense of determination, thinking to himself, with this group, no one will have to die anymore. This thought encapsulates his unwavering commitment to preserving the lives of his fellow Codebreakers. Heike continues his research into the mysteries surrounding the Codebreakers and their untimely deaths. His investigations reveal a troubling truth. The more frequently a Codebreaker utilizes their special ability, the greater the risk of losing themselves over time. As this loss accumulates, it ultimately leads to their demise, a state referred to as Code End. Learning of this grim reality infuriates Hitomi, leaving him wondering why the Eden Council would withhold such vital information from them. His determination to safeguard the lives of the Codebreakers, and in particular, the vulnerable children, leads him to make a pivotal decision: to confront the Prime Minister directly, seeking answers and justice for the sake of the children and his fellow Codebreakers. Hitomi takes the Prime Minister to a towering vantage point. From this elevated position, he addresses the nation through a live broadcast, making a chilling declaration. Hitomi reveals that he has planted numerous bombs throughout the country, and as a result, approximately 50,000 citizens are now at risk of losing their lives alongside the Prime Minister. He emphasizes the futility of attempting to escape from this dire situation, casting a shadow of fear and uncertainty over the entire nation. As the mission enters a critical phase, Hitomi has given them a tight 1-hour window for its success. However, with only 46 minutes remaining, the first set of bombs planted by Hitomi detonates, resulting in multiple casualties among Japan's citizens. The urgency of the situation becomes even more apparent. Yuki, Toki, and Ogami, the remaining Codebreakers, come together to take on the formidable task of locating and neutralizing the remaining explosives scattered across Japan. Yuki employs his unique ability to manipulate sound to help pinpoint the potential bomb locations. It quickly becomes evident that Hitomi has placed a staggering number of bombs throughout the country, and the Codebreakers face a daunting challenge. With approximately 1,500 bombs still unaccounted for and limited time remaining, the situation becomes increasingly dire. Sakura's father, desperate to find his daughter, has enlisted the help of technicians to trace her location. Their efforts lead them to the high tower where Sakura is held. However, they soon discover that there is also a bomb at Sakura's location, complicating any rescue attempts and making it perilous for him to reach her. Upon seeing the devastating aftermath of the bomb explosions, Yuki is determined to take action. He instructs Toki and Miss Kanda to head to the sky towers together to provide aid to those they can. Yuki, on the other hand, resolves to address the bombs scattered across the country, with a strong determination not to let more innocent lives suffer. As they reach the sky tower, both Hitomi and Heike are taken aback to find that Ogami has already infiltrated the building. Heike expresses his desire to stop Ogami, but Hitomi is resolute in facing Ogami himself, eager to gauge the extent of his power. Upon encountering Hitomi, Ogami takes a diplomatic approach and suggests that if Hitomi provides information on how to deactivate the bombs, they can avoid a direct confrontation. In response, Hitomi remains obstinate, expressing his desire to witness Ogami's capabilities firsthand. The ensuing battle commences, with Hitomi initially gaining the upper hand. Sakura, bound by restraints where Hitomi had confined her, closely observes the duel between the two powerful Codebreakers. Realizing the dire circumstances, she calls upon her loyal canine companion, instructing it to liberate her from the bindings. As the intense and protracted fight takes its toll on Ogami, he eventually reaches a point of exhaustion. In a moment of vulnerability, he implores Hitomi to divulge the motive behind his actions, urging him to provide an explanation for the chaos and destruction he has wrought. In a moment of vulnerability and fatigue, Hitomi begins to share the backstory that has driven his actions. He reveals that he had approached the Prime Minister with a simple request: to allow the Codebreakers to be recognized and acknowledged by the world. However, the Prime Minister's response was far from what Hitomi had expected. Instead of granting his request, the Prime Minister ordered his agents to eliminate Hitomi. Faced with this treacherous turn of events, Hitomi found himself in a life-threatening situation and had to fight to escape. To his astonishment, the Eden organization, which oversees the Codebreakers, chose to support the Prime Minister's decision, and in response, expelled Hitomi from the ranks of the Codebreakers. He goes on to emphasize that his only desire was to reveal the existence of the Codebreakers to the world, but the Eden organization's refusal to accept this request led to his being branded a criminal in their eyes. Deep in thought, Hitomi reflects on his actions and motivations. He recognizes that in order to bring about change within the Eden organization, external pressure is required. His determination is fueled not just by a desire to benefit the Codebreakers, but also by a profound concern for the children with special abilities. These children, once separated and isolated by the government, are eventually recruited into the ranks of the Codebreakers. Hitomi believes that if these children remain under government control, they will likely become heartless machines devoid of empathy and compassion. His efforts, then, are driven by a higher purpose: to protect and secure a brighter future for these young individuals with unique talents, ensuring that they are not reduced to emotionless tools of the state. Hitomi's actions are rooted in his belief that change is necessary to safeguard the well-being and humanity of these gifted children. In response to Hitomi's explanation of his motives, Sakura expresses her disagreement, deeming his methods as problematic. However, Hitomi emphasizes that he believes his approach is the only viable option left to instigate change within the Eden organization and achieve his goals. Meanwhile, as Toki and Miss Kanda arrive at the Sky Tower to help with the situation, they face Heiki's resistance. Heike is determined to prevent their interference in the unfolding events. In another part of the confrontation, Oji returns and launches an attack on Yukikina. As the situation unfolds, Toki finally locates the tied-up Prime Minister, who pleads with him to rescue him before the bomb detonates. Toki, however, hesitates, questioning whether the Prime Minister might be willing to leave him behind. Meanwhile, a fierce battle continues between Yukikina and Oji. Oji accuses Yukikina of being the one responsible for turning Hitomi against them, expressing disbelief in the transformation of the once compassionate Hitomi. Ogami, although severely weakened from his fight with Hitomi, engages in a conversation with Hitomi. Hitomi explains his perspective on the situation, arguing that the actions ordered by the Prime Minister and Eden have given them an upper hand, allowing them to target the bad people who act against their own will. He contends that there are even more malevolent individuals working for Eden and the Prime Minister, and their efforts aim to counteract this influence. The confrontation between Hitomi and Ogami intensifies as they engage in a heated exchange of words. Hitomi argues that Eden used the Codebreakers to carry out assassinations in order to keep their own hands clean, suggesting that they share similar motives. He extends his hand to Ogami, inviting him to join him in building a new world and fighting alongside him, just as they did in the past. However, Ogami remains steadfast in his refusal, pointing out that he agrees with Hitomi's criticisms of Eden's actions, but he cannot condone Hitomi's own acts of violence and killing. He sees no difference between Hitomi and the organizations he criticizes, and this moral stance drives a deeper wedge between the two former allies. In a climactic moment, Ogami confronts Hitomi, accusing him of being evil for sacrificing innocent lives to achieve his goals. He stands his ground and declares that both of them are evil. Ogami vows to continue fighting Hitomi until his last breath, but he collapses, too weak to continue. Hitomi, with the intent to end the fight, prepares to deliver a fatal blow to Ogami using his lightning ability. However, at the last moment, Sakura bravely steps in front of Ogami, pleading with Hitomi not to kill him. Meanwhile, the Kizakura Gumi group, led by Sakura's father, manages to locate one of the bombs. When they arrive, they encounter two young individuals who are determined to defend the bomb. These defenders, influenced by Hitomi's orders, are using their special abilities to protect the bombs and claim to be doing so for the sake of special children. In the tense standoff, Sakura took a brave stance, standing protectively in front of Ogami, determined to shield him from Hitomi's deadly attack. Hitomi, however, displayed his ruthless determination, showing no hesitation in harming them both. He unleashed his lethal lightning power towards Sakura, but to everyone's surprise, it did not result in her death. Frustrated by his inability to eliminate Sakura with that attack, Hitomi ominously declared that he would resort to a different method, strangling her to death. With the timer counting down and less than 1 minute remaining until the Prime Minister's location was to be bombed, He implored Yuki, a fellow codebreaker, to fulfill his role and free him from his restraints. Simultaneously, Hitomi reiterated to Ogami that he had no intentions of killing Sakura until after the Prime Minister's demise, along with the 50,000 citizens, which he believed was crucial for his plan to succeed. The tension is unbearable as the timer counts down to 0. To everyone's astonishment, no bombs detonate immediately. Yuki's realization that the mission has failed hangs heavily in the air, casting a gloomy pall over the situation. Heike, who had previously been aligned with Hitomi, has now turned against him. Yet Hitomi reveals he has a hidden ace up his sleeve. He explains that the bombs may have been set to detonate, but he has chosen to remain at the Sky Tower to harness electricity directly from the sky, ensuring the bombs will go off as planned. Meanwhile, after being freed by Toki, the Prime Minister is gripped by a moment of reflection and vulnerability. He confesses to Toki that he might indeed be a kept dog, implying that he has acted out of fear. This confession leaves a lingering sense of uncertainty as he then departs, leaving Toki. As Hitomi persists in his attempt to harness power from the sky, Yuki, Oji, and Heike struggle to thwart his efforts, but their powers prove insufficient. The situation takes a dire turn as Hitomi, consumed by his goal, uses one hand to seize Sakura by her neck, attempting to strangle her. The tension in the room is palpable, and it seems as though hope is slipping away. In the midst of this life and death struggle, Ogami, finding a renewed source of strength, summons an enormous, awe-inspiring blaze unlike anything the Codebreakers have ever witnessed. The roaring flames dance and flicker, reflecting the magnitude of the confrontation. Recalling their past when Hitomi was mentoring Ogami on combat techniques as a new recruit to the Codebreakers, he had emphasized the importance of maintaining constant vigilance until their foes were completely vanquished. During those days, they shared a close friendship. Returning to the present after witnessing the blazing inferno that Ogami had conjured, Hitomi is astonished that Ogami has not fallen victim to Code End by now. However, Ogami, relentless in his determination, continues his incantation. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, evil for evil. He defiantly challenges Hitomi, declaring his unwavering intent to defeat him. And as Hitomi directs his lightning toward Ogami, Ogami astonishingly absorbs the entirety of Hitomi's abilities. The battle escalates as the two Codebreakers clash, and the outcome remains uncertain. Amidst the intense battle, they all find themselves astonished as Ogami absorbs Hitomi's lightning once more, ultimately defeating him. Hitomi lies on the ground helpless as his own lightning begins to strike him. The Codebreakers quickly recognize that this is the dreaded Code End, the state that marks the end of a Codebreaker's life. Hitomi, in his final moments, reveals his true motives. He sought to prevent Eden from exploiting people with special abilities and to ensure that these individuals could lead normal lives like any other citizen of the country. He wanted their lives to be complete, and he aimed to shield the other Codebreakers from being held responsible for his actions. As Code 01, he believed it was his duty and privilege to make this sacrifice. In his final moments, as Hitomi lies there, life gradually slipping away, he earnestly implores their forgiveness for the actions he has taken. With genuine remorse in his eyes, he calls each of them by their names, one by one, and shares heartfelt sentiments about the unique qualities and traits he admires in them. He recognizes the strength of character that each of the Codebreakers possesses, which he has grown to respect and appreciate. But despite Hitomi's genuine apologies and heartfelt words, Ogami finds it challenging to contain his emotions. He questions aloud why Hitomi has allowed them to defeat him so readily, struggling to reconcile the mentor and friend he has known with the adversary he has just fought. Tears well up in his eyes, and the weight of the situation becomes overwhelming. Amidst his tears, Ogami continues to express his confusion and frustration, seeking answers for the seemingly abrupt change in Hitomi. He wonders aloud how they could go from being close friends and allies to adversaries on opposite sides of a destructive conflict. In the end, as Hitomi's life ebbs away, he speaks with a solemn urgency. He reminds them that their unity, as displayed during their confrontation on this day, is the key to their survival. He stresses that operating together as they have done is the only way to ensure the safety of each member of their Codebreaker team, safeguarding them from both external threats and internal strife. Amid Hitomi's poignant message, the Prime Minister intrudes into the solemn scene, his presence causing a disturbance in the atmosphere. He boldly declares that he will not allow the special abilities people to engage in a public battle. With unwavering conviction, he asserts that in time, humans will forget about the bombings, underestimating the gravity of the situation. Sakura, however, cannot simply let this pass. She confronts the Prime Minister, questioning his refusal to heed Hitomi's words. She implores him to consider what Hitomi was trying to convey. The Prime Minister's response reflects his disdain for Codebreakers and his regret for the choice he once made. He laments that had he known Hitomi would become a terrorist, he would never have recruited him. In a final act of defiance, Hitomi summons the last remnants of his fading strength. Rising to his feet, he prepares to unleash a bolt of lightning upon the Prime Minister, a symbol of his unyielding determination. But before he can do so, the other Codebreakers step in. They've finally comprehended the true essence of Hitomi's message. With a newfound understanding and determination, they insist that he should now rest, promising to take responsibility for the situation and for bringing about the change he had hoped for. Hitomi's final words convey his newfound understanding and acceptance of the growth and change that have taken place within the Codebreakers. He acknowledges that they needed to evolve independently, even if he couldn't initially recognize it. With his passing, he leaves behind a legacy that will forever influence the Codebreakers' path towards redemption and justice. In a separate scene, Heike and the Prime Minister have a revealing conversation within the Prime Minister's car. The Prime Minister discloses his prior scheme of pitting Ogami against Hitomi as a way to test Ogami's true capabilities. Meanwhile, Sakura heads to school in the morning, expecting to find Ogami at their usual meeting place, but he is conspicuously absent. Yuki, in his cat form, appears and informs Sakura that Ogami has left. He assures her that if she ever needs help, he will be there for her, and then departs. Oji intervenes and offers Sakura a ride to school, informing her that they've all been assigned different tasks. Yuki's earlier appearance marked his farewell, signaling a new phase in the Codebreakers' journey. As Oji expresses her gratitude and offers Sakura a ride, the Codebreakers part ways on their separate missions. Oji and Toki also depart, leaving Sakura behind. She reflects on the absence of Ogami, understanding that she may not see him at the moment, but she carries the memories of everything he and the other Codebreakers have done for the world. She acknowledges their unspoken sacrifices and the impact they've had on her life, concluding that they will always exist in her heart and her memories. The Codebreakers have left a lasting imprint on her, even if the world remains unaware of their heroics.